In our minds, China is a country of mountains, plains, deserts, big cities, and a whole lot of factories. And Chinese islands are definitely not on the list of all things Chinese. But a province of China is not just an island, but a tropical one at that. So welcome to the Chinese island of Hainan. The smallest and southernmost province of mighty China is also its largest and most populous island. Hainan consists of the main island, which is about as big as Belgium, plus a collection of various small islands. Hainan in its entirety lies in the tropics, so temperature-wise there's really nothing to complain about. For this reason, the island is of course a tourist hotspot because, well, why wouldn't you want to escape the cold winters on the mainland? Plus, more than half of the island is covered by forests, there are lots of beaches and resorts, plenty of wildlife, beautiful mountains, great food, good people. In short, tens of millions of tourists come here every year and they don't seem to have a lot to complain about. But is tourism the only thing worth knowing about Hainan? Let's find out, shall we? The first time mainland Chinese officials laid their eyes upon Hainan was in 110 BC. Before that, the Bayue people, forefathers of today's Kradai people, were already living there, having been done so for 2,000 to 6,000 years now. 2,100 years ago, the Han dynasty established a military garrison there, but that was the extent of the conquest. By 46 BC, the court decided it was too expensive to conquer and hold Hainan, so they abandoned it. But many Han Chinese people, along with military personnel and officials, migrated to this island. In the eons that followed, Hainan belonged to the Chinese dynasties and historically, neighboring Guangdong was in charge of its affairs. When China switched from monarchy to a republic, Hainan was separated with the establishment of the Chongjia Special Zone. Then in the 1930s, Hainan was under Japanese occupation for 6 years. Once the Japanese were defeated, China's civil strife between the nationalist and communist governments was resumed. It was on October 1, 1949 that the communists of Mao Zedong announced the establishment of the People's Republic of China, and while this new country included Hainan, it wasn't actually under their control. All the way up to 1950, Hainan remained under the old republic's forces. On March that year, the island was invaded, and by May, Communist China successfully expelled the Republican forces of what is known today as Taiwan. The capital of Hainan is the city of Haiku. It's a city of only 2 million people, so it's far less crowded than the other Chinese capitals. In Haiku, you don't have to worry about the air quality, as it has some of the cleanest air in the country's urban landscape. Also known as Coconut City, Haiku is a top tourist destination for China, with tens of millions of visitors coming here annually, mostly from the mainland. Amusement parks, beaches, cultural venues, business centers, and an old town with a mixture of French, Portuguese, and Southeast Asian architectures are what attracts so many tourists. Plus the ancient temples, tombs, and forts, of course. Haiku is a beautiful, tropical Chinese city that is constantly being upgraded. So, if you're heading that way, it might be worth checking this city out. A surprisingly large number of people have no idea that China has its own quite successful space program. Well, it was about time for you to know that, and now we can talk about Hainan's contribution to the program's success. The island is home to the Nanchan space launch site, China's southernmost spaceport. Currently, this is China's most advanced rocket launch facility, capable of launching the country's most powerful rocket, the Long March 5. Most of China's space station, the Tiangong, was launched from Wenchang by the way, and the Chinese planetary and lunar exploration missions also took their flight mostly from this facility. China's economic success brought about the country's desire to become a major player in the realm of space exploration, and Wenchang is set to play a major role in this adventure, thus making it one of humanity's most important facilities. As an added bonus, since the island is a major tourist destination, if you plan your vacation carefully, you might have the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to witness an actual space launch. And that's gotta be the coolest vacation ever. Since Hainan is an island, you can only get to it by air or by sea. If you choose the second option, be mindful of one thing. You're probably going to cross the South China Sea. In that sea, there's a number of islands administered by Hainan, but I wouldn't land on any of them if I were you, because those are the infamous disputed islands of the South China Sea. The Parasol Islands, Zhongsha Islands and the Spratly Islands is a collection of small, seemingly insignificant pieces of land that are all claimed by the People's Republic of China, the Republic of China or Taiwan, Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines and Brunei. All of these countries claim their own slices of these territories, even though we're only talking about small islands, reefs and banks. Why is that? The treasure is not the islands themselves. It's their territorial waters. For one, all these countries want the right to exploit the fishing stocks of the region, so food security is a reason for the dispute. Second, there's the potential to exploit a lot of crude oil and natural gas in the seabed. I don't have to explain why fossil fuel reserves are important, don't I? Even more important is that the South China Sea is a vital shipping lane in the global economics. Whoever controls those waters will have an immense power over world trade. And of course, there's the military aspect. Within your territorial waters, you can keep as many military vessels as you want, and the islands can become staging areas for troops, ships, and planes. While everyone claims these islands, officially there's no answer to this dispute. China is the strongest claimant and they do push their claims, and not just diplomatically, while the United States periodically send their ships into the region to discourage any rash decisions. And that in itself is a risky deal and does have the potential to escalate into a full-blown war. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, but in the meantime, just stick to the main island of Hainan. You're better off, trust me. Instead of messing around with the big guys, perhaps you should visit some archaeological sites instead. One such unusually looking site is the Yangpu Ancient Salt Field. First off, this place just looks weird, like it's not from this earth. There are over 1,000 stones here, all cut flat on top, that were and still are used to evaporate seawater to produce salt. The water comes in at high tide, fills the stony buckets, and then at low tide the sea retreats, the water evaporates, leaving behind salt, which is quite an ingenious method. This salt field was established in 800 AD, and to this day, salt is still being collected in this manner as it was 1200 years ago. Another place you can take a lot of pretty pictures is the Guanyin of Nanchan. Located within the Nanchan Buddhist temple, the statue of Guanyin is a spectacular representation of the Bodhisattva, a person who achieved Buddhahood or awakening. She is sometimes referred to as the goddess of mercy and the most beloved Buddhist divinity. Her statue in Nanchan, standing at 108 meters high, is the 12th tallest statue in the world and has 3 sides or aspects representing her blessings, protection and prayer. The Guanyin of Nanchan is all the more spectacular since it's built out at sea on a small islet. And that was all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. Leave your comments downstairs, and if you wish to do so, you can help out this channel through my Patreon page. I do hope to see you next time. Bye.